A couple of other things about classes. Protection is, you see on the screen here, Jeff, March 19th. And then the last class of the season will be Knowledge Explosion 2. For those of you who attended the first class, we need to get some examples for the second class, or we're not going to do the second class. Because if I don't have a case study, then you can't proceed. So if you would think hard about what you would, what kind of problems you're interested in figuring out how to use the internet and how to use those tools for, then we will have that class.
We probably should get that note out to the group.
Yeah, it's going to be on these notes, and I'll put it on the website. And we're starting to get subjects for next year's classes. So we'd welcome your suggestions, and if you would send them to Eckert at this email address, or talk to him. So if you have some ideas for what you'd like to see for classes for next year, by all means, help us figure out what we should be doing. Here's the announcement for next week. The calendar on the website is not working. I apologize for that. I have spent as much free time as I have trying to figure it out, and I can't figure it out. So as soon as I do, it'll be back up and running, and I'll post it on the group as well. I got a couple of examples. I just wanted to cover a couple of things that we, before I take questions, a couple of things that come up often. This one right there where it says, do not open mail from your financial vendors, even if it looks legit. Repeat after me. Do not open mail from your financial vendors, even if it looks legit.
Digital mail?
That includes things like your Hotmail suppliers or your Amazon suppliers or any of those kind of guys, right? Or Amazon, right? And I want to show you just two examples. I got both of these this morning. This one says Amazon Reward Center. How many of you did you get this? Everybody in the room, right? Anybody who has an Amazon account? It's fake. Don't click it. It looks really legitimate. Now I made a picture of this because I couldn't figure out how to for some reason it wouldn't let me email it to myself. Don't ask. But this looks very legit. It says, give yourself something. Marty at Marty Dorio has even got my real name in there. Hello, Marty, your account. It looks so real, but it's not real.
Do you know what would happen if you open it?
No, don't find out.
Good idea.
If you want to find out, do it on a computer that you don't mind, Go ahead.
Usually I check it by the sender.
Yeah.
Usually the sender is not you click it and of course
You
it's
put
not
your
from.
finger over like this one. This is
Yeah.
the real one.
Yeah.
And
The other
then
one
we'll
said
show you something
Amazon. I
else.
was surprised it actually said Amazon.
Well, these look really legit, and this is a picture, so it's not going to do it.
Right.
I mean, look at it. It's got my name,
It's
just
got
the way it's
Amazon.
supposed to. It's got all this stuff the way it's supposed. It's not sent to undisclosed people, all those kind of things. It's directly to me, only to me. I get them like 12 times a day.
They don't spell Amazon right.
They don't spell Amazon right. Amazon.
Yeah,
It
the
says
Amazon.
Amazon
gift
card.
card.
Amazing.
Better eyes than I do. I've looked at this 50 times already today. The other one is like one like this,
Yeah.
right? Here's from Shanjiang. Okay, now he's a very popular friend of mine. I don't have any idea where. He's at ki.se. I don't know. But it says, welcome to the new Outlook web app for staff. And here, click here. And of course, that's a login that takes me to some bizarre place. Access your new thing and yada, yada, yada. And it's, again, addressed, the original was addressed to me. Don't open stuff like this. Just delete it. Don't forward it. Don't post it. Don't. Okay? Everybody got that? Your bank doesn't communicate with you this way. IRS doesn't communicate you this way. Your grandchild who's in jail doesn't communicate with you this way. What else? What else do we get? We get that whole, that list, right? Yeah. Apple doesn't communicate with you that way, right? So don't fall for those scams, right?
The Mac group doesn't communicate that way.
The Mac group doesn't communicate you that way, right? It comes from George, and it's usually 3 or 4 emails in a day.
Marty, you don't forward the app
Yeah, sometimes I do, but I get so many of them that having done it, many times, I don't bother anymore.
I got
Carol.
a book in the mail, and no note in it who it was from, just a note says, to find out who sent you this wonderful book, go to this and this and this on your computer.
Really?
That's a new one.
Somebody sent you a real book, like a hardcover
Yeah,
book?
yeah.
Wow,
Well, that's a good one.
I don't know. I'd probably wait until your nephew calls you and says, "Hi, did you get the book?"
I've gotten books in the mail from my daughter as gifts.
Really?
So I called
Oh,
her,
so-
did you send me a book?
Yeah,
No, I didn't. So,
no, this is the digital thing.
yeah, let me show it to you when we get to the house.
There are two just checklists. I'm big on checklists because I think people need to have devices. And if I can find my checklist here, I'll show you an example of one. Somewhere on my page here. I open all these and then I can't find anything. I'm not nearly as organized as Jerry used to be. Okay. There you go. So there are two checklists that I'll post on the website, but I just want to go through them. I call this one Hardware Basics. For my classes at Renaissance Academy, I do this with the beginning, with all the students, but most of the students know some of the things on the list and some of them not. So I just talk about them quickly. How do you turn the device on and off? Everybody knows. How do you put it to sleep? Everybody knows, I hope. Anybody here doesn't know how to do those top three things? How to turn it off, how to put it to sleep, how to change the volume?
Don't be embarrassed if you don't.
Put your hand up, please, because we have little devices here and we can talk about it. How do I connect it to my device using wires? That's the little gizmo at the bottom, where we plug things in, right? So we connect that to our computer, we connect that to a camera, we connect that to our earphones, whatever, right? How do I take pictures in movies? How many cameras do we have on our devices?
Two.
How many cameras do we have on our devices?
Two.
Oh, please, everybody answer that question or I get really depressed. 2. Where's the flash on your camera? Everybody knows where that is, right? It's on the back right there. Because when I turn it on, right, it shines. That's my flash, but it's also my flashlight, right?
That's the X. Huh?
Yeah, that's the 10.
Oh, it doesn't shine on mine.
It doesn't shine on yours?
No,
It shines on
no,
every
no.
phone. Sure. You open Command Center and you push the little flash button and you push the little flashlight, right? Is there a flash for the front phone?
No.
No. Now Marilyn's going to cover this on Monday, but,
Not Monday.
Monday, right?
Oh,
No,
no,
a week
social
from Monday,
media.
sorry, a week from Monday. When you take a picture with this camera, where does it go? Which album does it go in?
Photos.
Selfies.
It only goes in selfies, yeah. Yeah, because Apple says if I take a camera with this phone, I must be taking a picture of myself. But if you're in a church and you want to take a picture of the ceiling, that's a very good camera to use, right? So just a little tip, it doesn't go where we think it goes somewhere else. And then where the microphone is, everybody knows. And where's the little round button? Well, if you have a 10, you don't have one anymore. Everybody knows how to send an emergency call?
No.
No. I can only show you on the 10. On the 10, you now repeatedly push the side button, the power button 5 times. If I push this button, that power button right there, 5 times, it will send an, yeah, if you do that, you're now sending an emergency signal, that's very good. But it also, it really goes to the emergency guys, so don't do it until you need it. And on the old phones, who has an old phone? Who has a,
507 plus.
you have a 7 or a 6?
They don't like to be referred to as old.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean an old phone. It's not an old phone, it's the pre-10 models, right? If you,
Marty, would you shut the light off, please, flashlight?
oh, is it on?
Yeah, because we have to read light.
I never know how the hell to do this. I don't remember. See, I have a 10 now, I don't remember how to do it. Who remembers how to do it on an old phone? How do you send an emergency?
Well, you originally set it up.
Nobody knows how to send an emergency on your old phone?
I think it's on the lock.
I think it's on the lock screen.
It's on the lock screen in the lower left-hand corner, right?
Right.
So if you go to the lock screen, it says it right here.
Oh,
I mean, the answers are on the screen, right? I usually don't answer questions. Do not use Touch ID. Click emergency in the lower left and then dial 911. And it's there in 8 languages. So if somebody finds you in a parking lot,
I haven't set
if
it
they
up.
don't open the screen because they don't know your code and they don't have your finger, you go to the lower left-hand corner, it says emergency, you push emergency, and you can dial 911 from your other phone.
There must be some way to activate that, because I don't have an emergency.
Yeah, it's
Some additional information.
Sorry,
iPhone
please.
7, iPhone 7 in the settings has a menu item called Emergency SOS. And on that...
Could you say it louder, because I can't hear you?
Okay. The settings command in an iPhone 7
Okay.
has a menu item in the settings called Emergency SOS.
Okay.
When you go into that, and this answers the other question, there is a button that says auto call. So if that's not on, you won't see the emergency stuff. And the same thing is true with the button for the closing. The sleep wake button, if you do that 5 times, it will also do the same thing as your iPhone 10.
On the 7 or on the 8?
On the 7.
Also on the 6S.
Also on the 10.
Pushing 5 times, it all does it? It does it on every phone?
Yes.
Okay.
So the 10.
And everybody knows how to mute the sound, right? Click the little toggle on the side so that it turns red, so I don't hear the phones ringing.
When I was on patrol every day, somebody would approach the car. I had an app that I just had to push one button to start the recorder. And it wasn't a situation yet to call emergency, but I had the recorder going in case somebody said something or accused you of something or threatened you in some way. It's all on tape.
So if we're ever in a police cruiser, we can push that button.
You just push that button. I had it right up on the top and bam, I start. Every time there was a person approaching the car, I did that.
The other checklist that I'll post is this checklist about security. I know Mitch covered some of this the other day. Again, I like checklists. I think there are a few things that everybody needs to do on an iPhone and an iPad to secure the device, right? One of them is have a passcode, use your Touch ID or Face ID. Face ID is super duper fantastic. Anybody who hasn't used it yet, if you're not using it, use it on your 10s. It is, I mean, all I have to do is sort of touch it like that and it opens, it recognizes my face. The only case I haven't had that on was when I had a hat and my glasses were very dark. It couldn't recognize my profile. But other than that, it is spectacular. So I recommend Face ID strongly. Everybody, not many people know that you don't need just one fingerprint when you use your fingerprint. You know, you can use right hand, left hand, thumbs and fingers. You can use 10 fingers if you want. You can have your wife's fingers and your kids' fingers and your grandkids' fingers. It doesn't matter. So My son has his fingers, his wife's fingers, and his oldest son's fingers to open his devices. So there's no limit to fingerprints, right? It's not just one, you have to just use one thumb. It's important if you're Italian, if you ever lose a finger, you know, if somebody does something bad to you, then you have other fingers that you can use. Just saying, just saying.
How do you add additional fingers then?
Or you can grow additional fingers, yeah. if you're-
How do you add that additional finger?
You do it the same way you added the first one.
You have to
You add a finger, and then you go to fingerprint ID, and it says recognize a finger, and just add another one. It's in settings. Settings, fingerprints, yeah. Yeah, and the things are here, setting, the steps. Settings, touch ID and passcode, and then you go to fingerprints. The other thing is settings, your name, iCloud, find my device. There's no downside to find my device, right? If you ever lose it and you've turned it on, you at least have a chance of finding it. If you lose it and you haven't turned it on, you can't find it because it's not turned on. So there's no downside. Turn it on. Settings, touch ID, passcode, erase data.
Wait a minute, somebody had a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have a neat thing that I use that for. I share my data with my wife,
Yep.
and she's also, if I go to find my phone, it also shows her devices as well. The nice part about that is she's in New York, so if I do that and I say go find her device, I know exactly where she is.
Yeah. Sometimes she doesn't want you to find out where she is, so I'm just saying.
You can't lie.
Yeah, there are two places, right? Find my device is one, and then you have to have location services on to do what you just said.
Right.
To have other people be able to find you. And it works on the internet. You go to iCloud.com and you put in the Apple ID and password, and that lets you find the other person. In his case, he shares it, so he doesn't have to do all that work. Settings, touch ID and passcode, erase data. That's very important. If somebody has it, he only has 10 chances to get into your phone, and then it erases your phone, or it erases your iPad.
Did it?
So you want to protect yourself. Carl, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He's recording and he's recording and we can't hear. So if you have 10 chances to erase it, if he has 10 chances to get in, otherwise it erases the phone. At least your stuff is protected. You know, you can go buy another phone, but you can't recreate all that data. So don't do that one. Backup, everybody should be using iCloud backup. I don't have to talk about that anymore. Backing up other stuff, photo sharing for your Mac, using iTunes or Apple Music or whatever, protects your music. Pay with Apple Pay. How many people use Apple Pay? Really? Why don't the rest of you use Apple Pay? You take a picture of your credit card, and when you go into McDonald's or Walgreens or 1,000 other places now, you can pay with your credit card.
It's too easy.
Just go. It's too easy. You need your facial ID to turn on the phone. You need to press it with your device for it to work. So anyway, it's very handy. You should explore it. And then enabling emergency numbers
We have a
happens
question.
through your Apple ID. Yep. Jim.
Yeah, I just want to comment that I attempted to set up Apple Pay Cash or whatever it's called, where you can switch money between friends.
Yep.
And my bank I belong to the Suncoast Credit Union. My bank would support the credit card, but not the debit card.
Right. Yeah, there are several banks that don't do that now.
Which is a drag, because the credit card has a 3% charge on it, and the debit card has no charge.
I know.
So I use Venmo.
Yeah, or you can use PayPal Cash,
Yeah.
right? Anybody can send
allow
me-
you to do more?
Anybody can send me cash with PayPal, and you just go paypal.me and my initials, and you can send me money. So anybody wants to do that, be all means.
Well, what's the difference then between Venmo and PayPal? Because PayPal owns Venmo. Is there a difference?
I don't know the answer to that.
I've only used Venmo, and it's real easy. You just send,
There are a bunch of different services now. There's what's the
Zelle.
Zelle is one. Yeah, I mean everybody. Visa checkout is one. Everybody's getting into this wireless thing.
Marty,
Go ahead.
I just found out something interesting yesterday. I I follow retailers and they just opened up a Wawa,
Yeah,
I think on Davis. And I went into it and I needed some money from the ATM machine. There's no charge. No charge at all.
Wow.
There are a couple of other things I wanted to just point out. There are a number of manuals. Some people, new people particularly, have asked me about manuals. Where do I get a manual? How can I find some to read? And in iBooks, what did I do with it? In iBooks, if you go to the iBooks store, so open the iBooks app and then click on the store and go to the store. Here's iBook Store. There are all sorts of manuals that describe the various devices, iCloud, iPhone 11, iPad, so forth and so on, MacBook Air, Swift programming language for your grandchildren so that they can make their own apps and get to be millionaires. There's Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro. So those of you who are looking for resources, iBooks, go to the iBook store, they're free. You just go search for whatever you're looking for and download them, and they're literally a manual. You can look at it, turn the pages, all that. Of course,
Does
it's on
everybody
your
know
phone.
how to do what he's talking about?
Go into the iBook store, just the way I just did it here. You open iBooks, this little happy guy. Everybody knows what iBooks looks like. You go to the applications folder. Somewhere here I have an applications folder. I can't read, which makes it really hard. There's iBooks. You open iBooks, which is this little guy called the iBooks app, right? And then you go to the iBook store. And when you go to the iBook store, you put in here whatever you're looking for, and you get manuals. And then you download the manual. It comes to your iBooks. Goes into your library, and you can read that. So if I want to read about iCloud, I just open iCloud. I got to put my code in here.
Got your cap on?
So it took me 3 times to type my own password, which I know. Think about that.
You gotta go slow.
So then you just download it, open it, and it's a little book, and you can go read it, and you can make it bigger, and you can make the print bigger. You can do all sorts of happy things. So they're very handy resources that are available to you from Apple for free.
You can do all that on the iPad?
Sure.
Yes.
iBooks app, open the iBooks app, put in the subject you're looking for, and down they come.
You can do it on your iPhone.
Or on your iPhone, on your Mac. You can do it on your PC.
I hope not.
Questions about iBook Store? Okay. I have been delving into memory things. You know, how do you write a journal? How do you write your memoirs? How do you write your whatever? Not because I'm doing that, but because I have a bunch of stuff that I've written before that I want to put in a format. So I found 4 apps that I thought I would just cover with you quickly. Evernote, sorry, I mistyped that, it's Postachio. Day One, Diary Journal, and Reminisce. And I would recommend those to you for those of you who are interested in journal-y kinds of software that might help you keep track of things. I really like Day One, and I'll show you that one in a minute. I use Evernote a lot Evernote is this little green guy right here. I use Evernote for my notes and things like that, you know, my to-dos and whatever. But there's also a very neat little add-on that's called Postachio. And you go to this website first and sign into them, and then you go to Evernote. They're both free. But then when you want to post to your to your blog, to a blog, you can post to the Pistachio blog very easily, simply by taking a note like this one. I just made up a fake one which says, is that legible there? More or less. I don't know if I can make this bigger. So I made a post that says, Naples Mug is a very active user group in Naples, Florida. Come visit us Wednesday, Central Library, no appointment necessary. And then all you do to post it is you make a tag, and the tag says publish. And when you close it and sync, then it opens in Pistachio on the web. It opens in Pistachio. I guess I don't have the final. Anyway, it would post it on a blog page that would be dedicated to Naples Mug on the Pistachio website. So it's naplesmug.pistachio.com or .pistachio. And it's just a very easy way to publish things and publish a little blog without a lot of hassle. So that's one. Day One is another one that I really like the app for. It's a very, very user-friendly kind of an app for creating memories. Keeps track of the days, keeps track of your entries. Welcome to Day One, but it won't let me make it bigger. Come on. Continue. Create a day reminder, so I want to enable reminders. Yep. Come on. There you go. And it always wants you to upgrade, but you don't have to upgrade. But you would add, this is what Day One looks like. It's a journal. And you would add an event simply by pressing the plus. You can add pictures and pages or whatever you want to do in the Day One journal. And then the next day, if you're somewhere else, it knows where you are and makes the entries directly for you. So it's very nice, very user-friendly. I use it a lot personally, and it's a very handy thing. These two I just started playing with, but they look equally good without the cloud charge for it. Each one of them has a charge for premium features, so you got to decide if you really want to do that or not. On the iPad, there's another one that's called Momento, and that's 99 cents a month for keeping track. So good things if you want to play with journals. If you haven't, anybody has any input on that as you play with them a little bit, feedback to me, and we can post it. So,
Marty, Day One Journal, as separate words, is also on the iPad store.
right, yeah, they're all on. I think all four of these are on iOS and Mac. I got one question earlier from John about why do Apple Maps not talk. Did anybody else have questions we need to talk about? Mary.
Marty, you had about 7 screens up there at the same time that you were working on, and I don't know how to do that. I can get 2. How did you ever get 7 up there? Could you show us?
How did I get 7 screens up? I just
Yeah, at
opened
the
a bunch
same
of
time.
stuff.
Pardon me?
I just opened a bunch of stuff. So,
Mine always
how do I
says-
look at, I get what
Yes,
you mean.
Look at the,
F3 lets me push all my screens aside and see where I want to be. So just pushing F3.
and it will stay there? How do you get them to stay visible? You push F3 and then as soon as you take your hand off F3, it goes
You know,
down.
if I did this, I would just touch that one. So if I wanted to find something, I just move my cursor where I want. Let's say I want to go back to applications.
Is there a way to keep all 7 visible at the same time?
I don't know. Jerry, do you know?
You can take your hand off of F3. F3 puts it all out.
Okay.
And then you select the one you want, and that becomes the front one.
Yeah, I've taken my hand off F3, they're all on the screen.
Great, thanks.
And now I could open Evernote, or I could do anything else, but I don't think I can leave all 7 on at one time. You know you can do side by side, right?
Yeah.
Or they upload on your iPad.
You can't do that on your iPad. There's no
You
F3.
can open more than one.
No, there's another way
I can
on the
open,
iPad.
yeah, I can open 2 on the iPad, right?
Marty?
There is another way on the iPad. It does show it to you on the bottom panel, the title.
Right.
Ribbon will come up and show you the same thing with all of the apps. So if you're in an app, if you're on
Yes, I'm sorry, that's true. Then on the new,
the iPad Pro does it.
right. So,
If you're in an app and you go to the ribbon, you can get that.
And your show of shows from night.
I may not be connected. Not connected. I don't have the password. I don't think I can do it from here.
Marty?
Yeah.
You might want to mention, I think that F3 is part of the mission control features of the Mac OS in early.
Is it?
There are 2 other function key things. One is if you've got multiple screens within an application, you can separate within that application and see the difference.
Yeah, what Jerry's talking about is this screen. You go to System Preferences, Mission Control, and then there are 4 options that you can make these anything you want. So for example, if you wanted application windows, you use the caret and a down arrow. If you wanted to show the desktop, it's F11 or F12 on this one. You can make these anything you want, show the dashboard and so forth. So that's in System Preferences, Mission Control.
There's another way also.
There's another way also. Go ahead.
If you have a trackpad,
Yeah.
you can use gestures to use 3 or 4 fingers up or down, and it will go do the same thing. Just go to trackpad, it'll show you the preferences.
Oh, yeah. So that's even better. So I'm using these 3 fingers on my trackpad, and I'm just doing that up. And I got all 5 of these things open. So everybody learns something in these meetings. What was I just trying to show you?
But also on preferences, without having to do that, you can make it a hot corner to give you the application
Hot corners.
windows. You go to System Preferences, the one that says desktop or whatever, it's up near the top.
System Preferences.
Desktop and screensaver. Maybe you go to screens, the other one.
Screensaver? No.
That one, yeah. Screensaver, and then down the bottom there should be hot corners.
Hot corners, yep.
Or that one, yeah.
So hot corners then makes the 4 corners do something different.
Right, so I have mine set, one that shows the desktop, which is very handy. You can select that as one of them, desktop. So you just scroll up to that upper left corner, and it would always take you to the desktop, no matter how many windows are open. Then there's one that gives application windows, which is going to give you the same thing that you just had, but they pop up, there's no scrolling.
So everybody sees that? It's in System Preferences, Desktops, and Screensaver. Down here it says Hot Corners, and then it gives you, if you click one of these down arrows, it gives you all these choices. So you
And
can
you
make
can
a
have
corner
one
do
that's-
one of those things.
Display sleep, which is...
Let's say you wanted to do Launchpad. You say, okay, now my upper left-hand corner will take me to the Launchpad. Just by moving my cursor up there, it takes me to where my apps are. So it looks more like an iPad than it does a Mac. And you can make those corners do anything you want.
Display, sleep, home screen. Yeah, home screen, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of nice selections that are there, and
simple matter of putting your cursor in the corner.
So, John's question
Back to the
was,
iPad, did you figure out how to get to the?
no, I got distracted by all these other options.
I can show it to you if you want to. There's two ways of doing it.
All right, go ahead.
If you're on the home screen here,
Yeah, on the home
and
screen.
you just
Hold on.
scroll
Let
up,
me see if I can get screen.
get to the control panel.
On an iPhone, you have to tap the button twice, or on a 10, you have to swipe up twice.
I'm looking for my, I think my problem
You
is I'm not on the same network.
can do it two ways. On the iPad, you can hit the home button twice and it will do that. But just run your finger up from the bottom to the top and it will show you all the open apps and you can select the one you want.
But not the pages, it's just the app.
It'll show you wherever you left off at. Yeah. And then also, if you're in an app and you scroll up, then the ribbon at the bottom comes up if you want to select another app. So you can do hot switching between apps that way.
I'll fill in some of these. All right, how to make Apple Maps talk. That was on your iPhone or on your, on your iPhone?
It worked on the same thing on the iPad.
We have the hearing aids that are connected to, and I think that could be part of the problem. Because when I use my Yellow Pages app,
It works.
it talks.
Well, it goes, the Yellow Pages app goes out and asks if you want to use Apple or Google. And then you click Apple, and then it talks. It just moves it over, but you can't get it to do it,
Well, we haven't found
at
it.
least.
We haven't found it.
So my phone talks to me. Just did.
But you have a
Right.
hearing aid?
So why doesn't it talk? Why won't it talk? I don't even know how to turn it off, on and off.
Well, Mitch couldn't figure it out because he has the same
Mitch couldn't
thing.
figure it out. So you want me to figure it out?
Yes.
Mitch couldn't figure it out, you want me to?
That's exactly what both of us asked for.
He said that because he knew that would motivate.
You're the expert. We figured that you can find the answer.
Let's don't get too detailed.
So tell us how to turn off.
Well, you have to have notifications turned on,
Notifications.
right? So in settings on your iPhone, settings, maps, notifications have to be on. So allow notifications, right? Because you want him to talk to you, her to talk to you, whatever. And what else would you have to do?
Turn on sound.
Turn on sounds. Is that true?
I'm just asking, I'm not.
I don't know. See, mine talks to me, so I don't have this problem.
Well, if it's talking to his hearing aids, it's not going to speak out loud.
No, it doesn't talk at all.
Oh.
Sometimes
Yeah,
it
you don't
will.
get the answer, right?
But something, when you go to the hearing aid, it comes up with three things. It says you can use the iPhone, the hearing aids, or something else. And you can select that, and then it will go there. But just picking it up and setting it to go, most of the time it doesn't work.
His talks.
So his talks and mine talks. So John, maybe it's your,
Hearing aids.
you know, maybe it's hearing aid related.
Maybe it's
Might be.
hearing aids.
Does it work to know it? Can you?
I got
can
my
you
hearing
disconnect?
aids in, and it's talking.
Yeah, I can get it to
go to
get a
the
box,
iPhone,
the hearing aid, but not all the time.
If I don't think they're working.
My suggestion is use Waze. Does everybody know about Waze? I hate to give an answer like that, but Waze is just so good. It's social media maps. And what Waze does, I don't know if there's
Did you say waves?
W-A-Z-E.
Oh, W-A-Z.
W-A-Z-E. And I can't get on the internet, I can't get on my instructor thing here.
Marty, do you think Waze is better than Google Maps?
Oh, yeah, sure. And the reason it is,
They do different things, don't they? Doesn't Waze tell you something about how many other Waze users are near and what accidents?
Yeah, but that's just a sideline. Let me just- Sorry, I have to.
No, I'm changing.
That solution is we can help that.
Let's take 6th Street Southeast, Lake Drive, Naples.
That's not a segmentation.
So the reason I like Waze a lot is there's a social media component to Waze. And just as soon as I connect here, hold on, I'm connecting. Sooner or later we connect. Not yet. No, I can't connect. George, can you connect to the computer?
I was having trouble with the instructor
Connected to it?
connection too.
No, I connected to instructor, I just can't connect to the Mac.
What Wi-Fi is in that connect? That's just not the app, that's it.
Maybe that's, oh, the wrong one. Thank you, Jerry.
It's free.
They both have to be on the same.
Right.
Are you using your truck?
There you go, right there. There we go. Finally. So I should have asked that question before, right? So Waze is this little guy that looks like this, right? W-A-Z-E. And it gives me a big map of, I'll try and show you on my phone here. I don't want to disconnect. No, don't disconnect. We'll do it again. So it shows me, this is the screen that I'm watching. There are 64 reports of stuff around me. And let's say I wanted to go home, I would just type in my address. I would say I want to go to 1472. I guess I can't do it from here. Yeah, it's not letting me mirror my phone or show me my phone. But it's very nice. It shows you the number of social interactions around you. Do you want to share the Wi-Fi password with George? No, I don't want to share the Wi-Fi password. Yeah, it's not letting me. There's 1,628 Wazers around me, that's people using it. There are 66 reports around me of either traffic or issues, police. Can I make the screen smaller? go somewhere, this lets me tell it examples. It's not, anyway, play with it yourselves. Waze is very nice. It has a nice social media component. It tells you when the police are there, where there's an accident, if traffic is slow, it adjusts your time, and it talks to you.
Can you take it on and off? Is there a switch to talk and not talk?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what this little guy is. If I were, yeah, because see, it turns off on the phone when you connect it, because of the reflector. But as I move around, you can see that it's moving direction. See the arrows moving? It's a very nice little piece of software, but it has that social media component to it. What else? What other questions do people have today?
Just a question that's, within a couple of weeks, the first time I noticed that thing about sharing your password for your internet. Is that something new? Is that settable somewhere? Both times it's happened, that's exactly what I wanted to do anyway, but if I didn't want to do it to somebody in my driveway.
I don't know if that's settable. I guess it's settable to the extent that you can say you don't want it when.
Okay, that's true, it is, that's true, it is asked, yes, yes.
But I'm not aware of anywhere you can turn it off and say, don't give me that suggestion. Jim?
You mentioned the hot corners. I use the hot corners to put my laptop to sleep. But frequently when the laptop comes out of sleep, Safari gets a little wonky. When I try to quit Safari, a lot of times it won't do it and I have to force quit it. I just wonder if that's anyone else is running into that.
Well, I find Safari a little wonky a lot.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so-
Not just when it comes out of sleep. I mean, when I go to restart my computer, for example, frequently I have to force quit Safari to do that.
Right.
I have that same issue with mail.
Yeah, me too.
Different question.
Go ahead.
This has probably been asked before, but I know you can encrypt your entire drive. But is there a way I could encrypt one file?
Yeah.
MacBook Pro? I assume you can't do it on the iPad.
There are some files you can encrypt. I think you can do Pages files.
Oh, you can?
Oh, sure.
In iOS 11, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, certainly in Pages you can do it. This is a Pages document. And if you go to File, set password, but that's not encrypting. Set password, this is Pages, right? So you can set a password for your document just by clicking set password, right? But that's not encrypting.
no.
That's setting a password. I mean, that's a step.
You can also do a set password in iOS in Pages.
Yeah.
This utility used to have encryption on a file basis, or so it was.
Disk utility does, or did.
That's what I do.
And I don't think it's there anymore. I don't think it's there anymore. You remember?
The way that this utility used to work, you would create a DMG file, which truth.
Let's take Golden Gate Parkway, Naples, and I-75 North.
15? Right. Just send the money, send the money.
At any rate, the way you could do it was to create a DMG file, and then that you could encrypt it, and you could put your documents inside it. So that was the history to it.
I'll have to research that for you, Tom.
I mean, just one file, like if you had some you really thought was really important.
Yep. I'll have to research that. I don't know offhand.
Under notes, Jay Feldman, under notes, if you sign a password, get into a note, and have lost it, that password. And do you know if you can ever get into it?
I don't have any idea.
Jay, a second. Didn't you have a note, didn't you send a note to the discussion group about solving a problem? What was that again?
About solving a problem?
No, he had a issue that he figured out for himself, and he announced that it was...
Last Monday,
Yeah,
on iPad below the size of this one, on your keyboard, you have
all right.
symbols that can be flipped on or off. And I don't have it on mine. So with Dennis and I yesterday, we found out the large iPads don't have that feature called flip key.
So the iPad Pro.
Certain keys you can flip, but it doesn't show on the keyboard itself.
I don't know what you mean by flip. You mean you can change them to be something else?
Let me see. When you go to like an ampersand,
Yeah.
well, the keys below show in gray, so you more or less push on the ampersand, bring it down to that key, but on these large ones, they don't.
In iOS 11, there are for example, the numbers are above the letters, so you don't have to switch over to the number page.
Right.
You just flip your finger down, and then the number will show up instead of the letter.
Well, found out from Apple, they didn't include that
On the 12.
feature in the large one.
Mine
The
does.
iPad Pro?
Mine
Pro.
does.
Large iPad Pro.
Mine does it. How are you gonna make me connect this content into this one?
$15.
Erase that. Erase that.
I'm
So,
gonna have you edit the video.
edit the video, thank you.
You can go to notes and do the same thing.
And they don't have it on the phone either.
Right.
It's not on the
Yeah,
phone,
true.
but it's on the iPad.
See, right now, there's no symbols down in there. No gray symbols. Now, someone has a smaller iPad, you'll see the numbers.
Yeah, here they are.
You don't need them.
But I don't, but what, they're here, but what good are they?
Because
You swipe down on the key to get.
I swipe, oh.
Here, I've got a smaller one.
Down, not up.
And what do they do?
like the, under F, for example, has
The ampersand.
the ampersand. You hold it down, push it, I think you push it up or down.
Oh, hold it down.
You hold it down, it goes in
How do I get?
Swipe it down.
text. There are certain flip keys on the large iPad up there. Because you just go up there and hold it on like on 4, and
These are way too complicated.
Well, Marty brought them up in a meeting.
All right, any other questions before we wrap up? Go ahead, Tom.
I have a question about iCloud email addresses.
iCloud email address.
Quiet.
Are there good reasons or no good reasons, I'm not sure which, for me to use my iCloud email address for all of my friends contacting me or businesses contacting me? Why should I use it or not use it, I guess is my question.
I have one.
Go ahead, Jim.
If you want to do screen sharing with another person, you need to do that through iCloud.
Right. Right. But should I use it all the time? Should that be my email address instead of Gmail or whatever?
Well, there's hardly any reason for anybody to tell you that one is better or worse than, in my opinion, that one is better or worse than the other.
Yeah. But I was wondering if Apple put that on there for a reason.
Well, we
Security
use, as Jim just said, you use the iCloud address, your Apple ID, for all the stuff related to Apple, right? I talked about iBook Store, App Store, Mac Store, music, syncing, all that stuff happens with your Apple ID. That doesn't mean you have to use it for mail. So for your Apple ID, for cloud things, you have to have an Apple ID and you have to use your iCloud.
No, you
can use some, just a minute. You can use other addresses.
Right.
But the preferred Apple address is that one. As my friend in the back, I forget your name, sorry. As Mike just said, you can use any Apple ID. I had 5 Apple IDs. Some of them are not iCloud addresses. Right? That's just history, because when I started, I didn't know I needed an iCloud address. Right? They used to be me addresses, they used to be Mac addresses, now they're the combination. So it doesn't have to be iCloud.
Am I weakening my security in any way by using an iCloud email address?
No, because your iCloud address is the same security as almost any of the other guys. There's some tangential mail services that I can't comment on, but if you're using Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo Mail or iCloud Mail, or who did I forget? AOL, sorry, I wouldn't.
Forget that one.
At least those 4, you all use the same kind of security, and you're not at risk for that. There's another answer. The other answer that I give is, if you have an address that's tied to your community, or tied to your cable provider, or tied to your phone provider, I'm thinking of Comcast.net or Summit.com or Hotwire.com or Roadrunner or, Verizon.net or, T-Mobile.net, on and on, those guys. You're going to have to, at some point, change to a provider that's not tied to that location, or tied to that service. I just changed from AT&T to T-Mobile. If my email was tied to one of those 2 providers, then I'd have to be changing all my emails. So some people go through that kind of thought process and say, okay, I don't want to use Comcast anymore, I'm going to migrate to
That's a
something
good
else.
point for snowbirds.
For snowbirds is one. I moved from Kentucky to here, I had Verizon.net, now I moved here. I said, I don't want to deal with that anymore. I moved to Comcast, and Comcast got fired, they took them out of the community, now I have something else.
Yeah.
So I always use iCloud or Hotmail or my own, which is much easier, like Maryland.
I used to have Comcast.net years ago, and then when I wanted an IMAP address, they were just a POP address. I just forwarded all my Comcast.net emails to my new Gmail account. So I didn't have to change my address, and then those people who had the Comcast.net address, I'd still get it through Gmail. So I think you can do that on the Gmail website or whatever one you use. So that's another way to do it if you have a lot of emails that you don't want to change.
Yeah, the changes, you know, you can use the vacation responder, as Marilyn just said. You tell people, start using this new address, and anytime you forward it all over, and reply to people, and then they start sending it to you to your old address. Mike?
I'm having a problem, I couldn't find the manuals, I went to the App Store, and I could not find them.
Really?
Yeah.
To the iTunes store, to the iBook store?
Did you go through iBooks or?
Yeah. iBook store,
Okay.
iBook store, because they're books.
iBooks didn't give me any free ones for the iPhone 10, but I mean, they weren't that expensive, they were like $3, $4, but
The
there weren't
manuals?
any free ones. I searched on iPhone 10 manual and got about 6 choices. They were all, prices.
Here's my iPhone 10 user guide, it didn't cost me a dime.
Rats.
Oh,
Oh, maybe
user
you
guide.
searched on user guide.
Yes, user guide.
As opposed
Oh,
to
there's
what?
probably a lot of books
Manual,
out
I
there.
searched on manual, iPhone 10 manual.
I think I just searched for iPhone.
Is user guide just one of those like 8-pager?
No,
X.
no,
No, there's,
no, 50, 60 pages.
No kidding, okay, thank you.
Well, I just searched iPhone, and up comes iPhone 10 user guide, and I don't know what this thing is. General user, iPhone user guide. Okay, appreciate your attention. We'll see you all a week. No, I'll see you sometime, but next week is the Chico's guy coming, so please come. See you then.
Thank you.